And what is going on with Ianis Hagi next season? We'll find out a little bit more information about that shortly. Scotland have lost their automatic entry to the UEFA Champions League, not for next season, but for the season after. More of that to come. And we're going to talk a little bit of Rabbi Matondo and why Rabbi must start against Ross County and against Hearts next week or this week or whenever Sunday is. Sometimes Sunday is the start of next week and sometimes the end of this week. I don't know when it is. Who cares? It's Sunday, it's match day, and then it's another match day against Hearts on the 21st. So let's just look forward to those two big games and hopefully somewhere in between a Dundee game, if they can ever get it on, if global warming obviously doesn't stop it. Greta Thunberg, where are you when we need you? Let's talk a little bit of Ianis Hagi to begin with. Now, Ianis Hagi is currently on loan at Alavés in Spain. Ianis is someone who, has contributed to Rangers in the past, and pre-injury, that horrific injury he was a quality player. He was, contributing to the team. He was a big part of 55 and was an excellent player. And, a lot of fans really wanted Ianis Hagi to be given an opportunity to play this season, but it appears those comments that he made at the start of the season, that Michael Beale took exception to about wanting to play, about wanting to start and being frustrated. Michael Beale obviously clearly took exception to those and didn't like them. So, look, what is going on with Hagi? Now, Hagi has had a less than impressive loan spell out in Spain. He's played 18 games for them, scoring no goals, having 1 assist. He's played in the Copa del Rey 4 times, scoring 2 goals, giving him a total of 22 appearances for Alavés, with 2 goals, 1 appearance, and has struggled at times to get game time, and has struggled at times to be actually played and actually get a chance to show off his skills. And it's really gone against, I suppose, why we sent him out there. We sent him out there to get more experience, to get experience of first team football. We spent him out there to get him, I suppose, fit again, and then it hasn't really happened, has it? It really hasn't. Ianis has played 99 times for Rangers. Can he make it 100? Who knows? Scoring 16 goals with 21 assists. That's 37 goal contributions in 99 games. That's not bad. That's better than 1 in 3 from Hagi. Hagi is also thought to be going to be part of the Romanian Euro 2024. Look, a lot of fans I know still like Ianis. A lot of fans still, think very highly of Ianis. Now, I think to some degree, when Ianis left and when things started to go wrong at Rangers, and we had all the injuries as well, which is still kind of suffering from now, there was kind of a rewriting of history on Ianis Hagi to some degree, a kind of a re-reckoning of Ianis Hagi. I think some people making him better than he actually is. And look, I don't have any doubts that Ianis is a very, very fine footballer, and he is a very skillful footballer. His range of passing is excellent. His quality on the ball and his technical skills are fantastic. He does, of course, lack a yard of pace. Some would argue that he makes up for that yard of pace in his own brain through what he can do on the field. Now, a lot of people have argued that, Hagi is a 10, and, coming back to Rangers for him wouldn't work because of the number of 10s we currently have on the books. I mean, you've got Todd Cantwell, who is absolutely fantastic. You've got Tom Lawrence. Diamande can play there as well to some degree. Silva, but he will leave at the end of the season probably. There's a number of players who can fulfill that 10 role. So how far down the pecking order is Ianis Hagi? I honestly think that Hagi could fill a number of roles for this club. I don't think he necessarily has to be a 10. He's certainly not a winger because he hasn't got the pace to go past someone, leave them for dead, and then whip the cross in him. He's got the technical ability to cross the ball, don't get me wrong. But, sometimes I think Ianis back to goal is kind of wasted. Having Ianis with the ability to ping the ball all over, to spray passes around, to have the vision to actually see the whole of the field, it would actually be beneficial to kind of modify his role to some degree. Could he be someone who could actually fit into that double pivot in front of the back four and be the 8, be the man who goes forward and supports the midfield and attack, be the man who stands there and is kind of like the Pirlo that pings the passes here, there, and everywhere. There's no doubt in my mind that Ianis has an excellent range of passing. Could a midfield of, maybe with Diamande, Hagi, Sima, Cantwell and Matondo have a future? Could that 5-man attacking midfield really work? It's a possibility. Now, one of the things that Alavés was hoping that Alaves may obviously sign him, and Ianis Hagi has expressed an interest to stay in Spain. He seems to like this lifestyle out there, like the league, like the way it's going out there. But it appears that Alaves have no intention to sign him, therefore meaning that, that he would obviously come back to Rangers at the end of his loan spell. Now, there were reports in the media linking Hagi with a move to Galatasaray. Gala have long been a pursuer of Hagi, obviously with his dad having played there. They kind of see the Hagi name as kind of interlinked with the Galatasaray name, and they would love to bring Ianis to the club, apparently. But it seems that those reports are not true, that Galatasaray have not agreed any fees, have not contacted Rangers, and are currently not interested or in the market for Ianis Hagi. So it appears that at the end of this loan spell, he will return to the club. Now, some people did call for him to be returned in January, but due to the fact there was a no recall clause in the contract, we could not recall him unless Alaves cancelled his contract, which of course they weren't going to do. So look, Hagi is going to return at the end of the season, and Philippe Clement is always someone to me who is willing to give individual players an opportunity to assess players. Now, Hagi is not someone he has seen at Auchenhowie. He's not someone he's seen as part of the Rangers model, as part of the Rangers squad, as part of the Rangers training squad. I fully expect, Philippe Clement to have a look and run his eye over Ianis Hagi, to have a look at what he's got in Hagi. It seems to me that Hagi coming back can only be a positive thing, but he is a good player. And in Scotland, he has shown that on a number of occasions. The more strength in depth we have, the more higher quality players we have, the better for this squad at the end of the day, especially obviously given the injury history we had this season, which hopefully won't continue next year once Philippe Clement has had a whole sort of pre-season to condition them and get them ready for the new season. Ianis Hagi is certainly someone I think, will very much be given the opportunity to impress, given the opportunity to play, given the opportunity to build a role within this squad. And like I said, I do think he can play a part. I think there is a part for him to play in this squad going forward. Is whether or not Ianis Hagi wants to accept that, whether Ianis will want to stay at the club, or whether he does want to force a move away. Who knows? But, personally, I would like to see him given an opportunity. Personally, I'd like to see him given a chance. I think he's a good footballer. I think he's got a great range of passing. I think his technical skill is excellent. I think he's someone who could really add to this squad next season and help to continue to take this team forward, take this squad forward, as Philippe Clement continues to try and build his Rangers and build his team. Look, I've got no doubt in my mind that some people will have to be moved on at the end of the season. Of course there will. There's players out of contract, there's players who are constantly injured, who need to be got rid of. But Hagi is not one of those. Hagi is someone who's had that one unfortunate injury and has come back from that and come back and not had any of the injuries since then. So for me, he is someone I really do think we do need to look at. Now, one of the things that has to be guaranteed this year that we have to do is win the league. We have to win the league to qualify for the Champions League. I know a lot of Rangers fans would rather we go into the Europa League, seeing it more as our level. But I do genuinely think under Philippe Clement, we have more of an opportunity to compete in the Champions League. If you look at his past history in the Champions League with Belgian teams who, are not traditionally the strongest or coming from a traditional strong league, he's done very well. He went to the Santiago Bernabeu, took on Real Madrid, I think with Genk, and got a draw. He went to the San Siro, took on AC Milan and beat them. So look, he's someone who knows how to set a team up in Europe, how to organise a team in Europe, how to get them moving forward. And I think give him a pre-season, give him more time to work with the players, to get his tactics and ideas across, to bring in his own players. I think I have a squad that is able to hold its own in the Champions League. Look, I know we have no opportunity to win the Champions League. That's that's the realms of the Manchester Cities, Real Madrids, Bayern Munich's, Barcelona's with bottomless budgets who can buy who they want. That is just life. But the Champions League is an excellent way to generate revenue, to generate vast sums of money, which it dwarfs the Europa League income. It could really benefit this club moving forward, help us to use that revenue streams to to redevelop areas of the stadium, to bring in new players, to pay new contracts. It's all about building this club for the future and getting as many huge revenue streams as possible coming into the club. Now, the Scottish Premiership has had an automatic entry to the Champions League in recent times, largely, as we know, thanks to Rangers, obviously reaching the Europa League final, progressing in Europe, doing well in Europe. Celtic obviously have not really contributed at all and have benefited massively from the hard work we have done for them. well, not done for them, but done for Scotland. You know, the Scottish Premiership apparently will now no longer have an automatic Champions League group stage place next season after being leapfrogged by the Czech Republic in the coefficient ratings. There's been some good performances by Czech Republic teams, and the draw that Plitzen recently got has moved them ahead, and they have climbed above Scotland into 10th place in the UEFA coefficient rate. Teams are awarded 2 points for a win and 1 for a draw, with the country coefficient calculated on the cumulative performance of its teams entered into European competition at the start of the season. The ranking is then done on a 5-year average. So you look back across the 5 years, and it has only really been Rangers who have done anything to boost Scotland's coefficient. Celtic have been an embarrassment and a letdown in Europe season after season after season. Aberdeen have let us down. Hearts have let us down. No other Scottish team has pulled its weight in terms of, you know, developing the coefficient and helping to build the coefficient to keep us having our automatic entry to the Champions League. It has been down to us, and even that now has proved not enough with performances of Slavia, Sparta Prague, and obviously Victoria Plitzen as well. So certainly sad news for Scotland, and you know, real, I think, proof the next season that, you know, Rangers need to get into Champions League to do well in the Champions League and help to build that coefficient back up to obviously ensure that when we win the league in future, we get the automatic entry to the Champions League. Because, you know, those qualifying slots can be exceptionally tricky. When you just look at this year where we lose out to a very fine PSV Eindhoven team. Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit of the Welsh wizard himself, Mr. Rabbi Matondo. Now, at the start of the season, a lot of people talked about Rabbi being on a redemption arc. Rabbi being the new Rabbi Matondo, about Rabbi Matondo, you know, really moving forward his career and becoming a top footballer. And, you know, goal against PSV Eindhoven, for example, you know, a fine goal in that game. And start of the season, until he got injured, Rabbi Matondo looked to be definitely building a redemption arc for himself. But, you know, since all those injury issues, you know, Matondo seems to have gone backwards again, back to the Matondo we saw last season, who, when fit, didn't really pull up any trees. And once he returned from his injury again, he lacked match sharpness. He lacked the ability to do what he was doing at the start of the season. And I think a lot of fans kind of wrote him off even, to some extent. And I think that was unfair. You know, you need to give the player an opportunity to get fit, the player an opportunity to really, you know, get back to his best. Now, in recent games, Matondo has certainly moved forward in terms of what he's achieved and what he can achieve. I mean, you've only just got to look at those 2 goals in the last couple of games against Hibs and against Celtic. I mean, the Celtic goal in particular was absolutely fantastic. The way he cuts in on his right foot and bends it beyond Joe Hart, giving the former England goalkeeper absolutely zero opportunity and scoring in the top corner. You know, so his confidence is clearly improving, and Matondo is a confidence player. When Matondo is high in confidence, he is much more likely to perform. Matondo, you know, is someone who I think has the ability, the talent to actually be an asset for this club long term. If he's given the opportunity to impress, if he's given the opportunity to get back to full match fitness, something he hasn't had, I think, until very recently. Those 2 goals that he scored will do his confidence the world of good and help him to move forward. Adding to that, the fact that obviously Rabbi has one thing that all defenders are scared of: absolutely blistering pace. Now, for me, in these last few games running into the end of the season, you know, pre-split and post-split, I think Matondo is an absolute must. Has to start on that left-hand side. I think part of why we didn't see the best of him last season was he was incorrectly used by Michael Beale and by Gio van Bronckhorst. And Philippe Clement is starting to work his miracles with Rabbi Matondo, getting him back to his best, getting him back to the player he was at the start of the season. And hopefully we'll see again. You know, Matondo, like I said, he's quick, he's skillful. He now, you know, he's got a shot on him. He's been working on that apparently with a coach outside of Rangers in his own time. You know, he really seems to be dedicated to improving and getting better. So for me, Matondo out on the left is an absolute must. Now, adding to that as well, if you had Seema on the right, you've got 2 very fast, very strong, very, very tricky wingers who can cause a lot of teams a lot of issues. Now, given the fact that teams will come up against us with low blocks, with mid blocks, will really stuff this middle of the pitch. Having talented wide players like Matondo, like Seema, can only benefit the club and make us more able to break down that block to create alternative pathways through that defence. Certainly something that I think Matondo can do. So for me, on Sunday, I really hope we see Rabbi Matondo from the very start. Guys, let me know what you think of the stories we've covered in the video this morning. What do you think for the future of Ianis Hagi? What's your opinion on Rabbi Matondo? And tell me about Europe as well. Thanks for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. As always, if on the way out you could smash the like, that would be phenomenal. And always remember, please never forget, we are the people.